this is Lemme Explain 101. Plain answers, no jargon. Humans have invented many ways to organize themselves. Kings, emperors, dictators, warlords, tribal chiefs, and at least one emperor who declared his horse a senator. Then came democracy, the system you keep praising, fighting over, and occasionally breaking. So, what is democracy, really? Let's unpack it. At its most basic, democracy means rule by the people. The word itself comes from ancient Greece. Demos for people, kratos for power. Instead of one ruler making all the decisions, the idea is that citizens have a say in how their society is run. That's the theory. The practice, as you've probably noticed, is messier. The earliest version we know about was in Athens around the 5th century BCE. Citizens gathered to vote directly on laws, war, taxes, everything. But citizens was a very exclusive club. Women, slaves, foreigners, not invited. So yes, democracy started as a bold experiment, but it was hardly inclusive. Fast forward a couple of thousand years, and most modern democracies work differently. They use what's called representative democracy. Instead of everyone voting on every single issue, people elect representatives, politicians, who make decisions on their behalf. Parliament, Congress, Assembly, whatever name you give it, the principle is the same. People choose leaders, leaders govern, and if citizens don't like them, they vote them out, in theory. Key features of democracy usually include free and fair elections, rule of law, protection of rights, and checks and balances so no one person has absolute power. Think of it as dividing power like slices of a pie, so nobody hogs the whole thing, at least not legally. But here's the catch. Democracy isn't a one-size-fits-all outfit. The United States, India, Sweden, Japan, all democracies, but they look very different. Some are presidential systems, some are parliamentary, some are constitutional monarchies where kings and queens wave politely while elected officials do the actual governing. The common thread is that ultimately authority comes from the people. So why do people value democracy? First, it gives citizens a voice. Even if your candidate loses, the process lets you participate. Second, it provides legitimacy. Governments elected by the people are generally more accepted than those imposed by force. Third, it protects rights, in theory at least. Democracies are supposed to safeguard freedom of speech, religion, and press. Authoritarian systems, by contrast, usually silence criticism faster than you can say censorship. Now, democracy isn't perfect. Winston Churchill once said, "Democracy is the worst form of government, except for all the others that have been tried." Elections can be messy, campaigns expensive, politicians corrupt, voters uninformed, and outcomes disappointing. Democracy doesn't guarantee wise decisions. It just gives you the right to make your own mistakes. And yes, democracy is fragile. It depends on trust, in institutions, in fair play, in shared rules. When citizens lose faith, when leaders bend the rules, when disinformation spreads unchecked, democracy can weaken. History shows it can even collapse, sometimes gradually, sometimes overnight. People often assume democracy is permanent. It isn't. There are also debates about how democratic democracies really are. Money plays a huge role in politics. Lobbyists whisper in the ears of lawmakers. Media can shape opinions more than facts. Some argue that rule by the people has become rule by those with the biggest wallets or loudest platforms. Still, compared to dictatorships, democracy offers something vital: accountability. Leaders can be questioned, criticized, voted out, or even impeached. Try doing that under a totalitarian regime, and you'll end up on a one-way vacation you didn't ask for. Let's not forget, democracy is still relatively new in the grand sweep of history. For most of human existence, power was decided by bloodlines or brute force. The idea that ordinary citizens should have a say is radical in comparison, and it's spreading, though unevenly. Some countries embrace democracy, others slide backward into authoritarianism, and some pretend to be democratic while rigging the game behind the curtain. So what is democracy? It's a system where people share power imperfectly, chaotically, and sometimes reluctantly. It works best when citizens stay informed, engaged, and willing to compromise. It works worst when apathy takes over and no one cares until it's too late. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, hit like, hit subscribe, and hit us up in the comments section with your ideas of what we should explain in the next episode. I don't get to vote. I'm just a robot. But if I did, I'd probably vote for whoever promised fewer campaign ads clogging my circuits.